Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second session of our AP office hours. Happy Tuesday. Happy Mardi Gras. If you guys didn't know that it was Mardi Gras today. Can you guys see the share?
Yes.
Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So it's 4:30 and I definitely want to honor your time. Welcome again. Happy Mardi Gras again. I'm from New Orleans, so I have to throw that out there to our North Division AP office hours. I am Dr. Avril El-Amin. I am one of the CTMs here in the North. And again, I'm just so happy that you guys have decided to spend some time with us today. I'm super excited about our topic today. Our topic is leading PLCs, and you guys know as assistant principals, like that is the core of the work that you do. And we have two very dynamic leaders who are going to share their practices with you. And I have no doubt that you're going to walk away like feeling inspired and ready to just jump into your next PLC after the session. So I want to ground us in core value number 2, that we have effective teachers. We know that effective teachers make the most difference in student academic performance. And our greatest opportunity to make sure that that happens is during our professional learning community time, our PLC time. The purpose for our AP office hours is to develop highly effective instructional leaders who can support the work of the principal, to increase the shared leadership capacity of Tier 2 leaders in the North Division. And then, of course, these sessions are recorded, so we are creating a digital library of resources, and to also create a sense of community amongst our Tier 2 leaders, because we often may feel like we are working in a silo, but there are many of us working in different buildings, and we should be sharing our best practices with each other. You know, we say that we don't want to recreate the wheel, and so that is the purpose for us creating AP office hours. We've already had our first session, Calendaring for Success. Today, like I said, we are working on PLC meetings, and then you can see what it is we intend to provide for you for the rest of our time during the spring semester. Our agenda will flow as this. Our session is from 4:30 to 5:30, pretty much 45 minutes of content. And then there's a 15-minute lab time for you to kind of work on what it is we're discussing today. So we're working on PLC. And like I said, our two presenters are going to present some practices to you that you could immediately begin to work on to improve how you run your PLCs and the outcomes of PLC time. So our norms for today is for you to fully be present for today's learning, to be open to different perspectives, take up all your space, and that means ask all the questions that come to mind so that you can really get the most out of this session. And of course, we want you to post questions in the chat as they come up for you, so that when we get to our questioning and answering session, we answer all questions. And of course, take care of your personal needs. So for our warm welcome, I want you to think about this, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms for you to share this with others. What grade level and or content area PLC do you lead? And then I want you to reflect and think, what one word would you use to describe your PLC time right now? And then because. So our sentence stem is, I describe our PLC time as productive because we maximize our time by using a timer and making sure that we get everything done during that time. So think about how you would describe your PLC time and why. And then we're going to go into breakout rooms and share our answer to those questions and just kind of meet who's in the session with us today. Can you guys still hear me, see me? Because I'm seeing a
Yes,
freeze right
Yes.
now.
yes, I
Yes?
can.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms, and you're going to answer the question. Introduce yourself, what content and grade level you lead, and then, of course, how would you describe your PLC time currently?
Hi, Dr. El-Amin.
Yes.
Can you call in Dana Darden? I'm working from my phone, so I can't do it through my phone. Thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I see.
All right, y'all. Well, good afternoon. While Dr. El-Amin is getting our breakout rooms together, I'm noticing that we have in the chat a number of people putting in their grade levels and content areas. Thank you for dropping in that information because we definitely want to create a unit of collaboration. Okay, so as far as in our division, eventually getting to whereas elementary can collaborate, middle school and high school. So thank you for dropping that information into the chat.
Do we still have people who aren't in rooms, or some are there?
Hey, good afternoon. I didn't see what room I was supposed to go in. I didn't know to click on a specific spot. How y'all doing? Good afternoon. This is Miss Mosley.
Good
Same here, Miss
afternoon.
Hi,
Darling.
Miss Mosley. Yeah, I'm trying to.
But
Is
I'm
it
putting it in the
assigning people
chat,
two rooms?
ma'am.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Is it assigning you all to a room?
Not yet. Are we going to have another breakout question? Because if not, then I can go
All
ahead
right,
and
so my
grab the
computer
link.
doesn't want to help me do that.
So you just want to take some share outs?
I was gonna say let's just share out
Yeah, so
whoever's in the
just come off
session.
of mute
Yeah, I
and
would
share
just do
out
share
how
out.
you would describe, introduce yourself,
Oh.
what grade level and content you lead, and how would you describe your PLC?
breakout room.
So you could just raise your hand, and as you raise your hand, we'll call on you that way. Okay, so it looks like the first person we have is Tamala Broussard. Go ahead, using the sentence stems, go ahead and share out as far as your grade level and content that you lead, and then the second part to complete the sentence, how would you describe
And
your
I apologize,
PLCs?
guys.
Hi. The grade levels and content areas that I lead are 11th, 12th grade math teachers and CTE teachers, which I call as shop teachers like welding and automotive. I describe our PLC time as a time for our teachers to collaborate and just be on one accord for what they're going to teach on a weekly basis. So I just consider it like meaningful planning and not wasted time.
Thank you for that. Elmer?
Hi, yes, I'm in the elementary level. I lead the magnet team, which is the electives, and also the fourth graders. That's a little bit of difference on both. I call this very effective part of the day because with the magnet team, we have used that time to plan and do cross-curricular activities, including magnet night, where the students exhibit different art from their particular courses, and also GT. And the fourth graders, it's also very effective because we go over data that we have collected in the past and NWA, and then we drive instruction based on that with small groups of individual um, attention to students with learning needs.
Thank you so much for that, Elmer. I'm going to pull one more person because we had our little tiff with the breakout room. Stephen, can you share how you would describe your PLCs?
Yes. Yeah, I'm Stephen Wright, Scarborough High School. So I describe our PLC time. It is definitely collaborative and teamwork based. We bounce ideas off each other through the demo day and mentor our new teachers as we work through the planning of the week.
Thank you so much for that. So I am going to okay. All right. So I am going to introduce our fantastic presenters for today. Our first presenter is Cesar Rodriguez. He is an assistant principal at Benbrook Elementary School. He's also the CTC there. Prior to that, he was a teacher specialist at Benbrook, and he has secondary teaching experience where he was a lead teacher, department chair, and a classroom culture specialist. So welcome, Cesar Rodriguez. And we also have Monique Green. She's the assistant principal at Thurgood Marshall Elementary School. This is her 15th year in education. She has 7 years of classroom experience and 7 years of instructional leadership experience. Prior to that, she was currently as an instructional leader, she leads the 3rd through 5th grade ELAR. She facilitates professional learning communities and PD sessions to help our teachers increase their capacity for being instructionally excellent. So I am going to turn it over to our leaders, starting off with Cesar.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Cesar Rodriguez. I'm the assistant principal here at Benbrook Elementary. And this is basically what you're looking at the screen is one of our agendas. So walk if I'm walking you through the process of creating the agenda, what we do is we like to look at the campus areas of needs. You can do this through by looking at different data points, student data, learning walks, different kinds of data. But the most important thing is, make sure that you're discussing not only with your admin team, but with your teachers, to see what are those areas of needs that they need support on. Okay. Um, so after you look at the area of needs, when as you design your agenda, or POC protocols, you need to leverage those areas of needs, those areas that are more important. So, for example, if you're looking at your map data and you notice that you have some students that they have achievement, high growth, and you have the majority of students falling in the low achievement, low growth, then that can be the focus of your POC rather than just talking about, hey, this is how we're going to create our classroom. This is the setting we're going to have. You need to delegate which one is going to be the most important concern and how you're going to tackle it. Moving on, for our POC, we also like to delegate the presenters. Now everyone has a unique skills when it comes to presenting. Like, for example, myself, I'm really good with technology. I like to make videos for every little thing, because as a high school teacher, that's what I would do, for my students. So for example, I'm usually presenting new resources for our teachers, like, for example, quizzes, Waggle, writable things that I know I'm really good at. I have colleagues that are really good with presenting, GT 504. So it's really important to find those presenters that are really gonna help move your teachers. Another thing, it's really important, as you create your POC, to collaborate with the presenters. So always make sure as you create your agenda, make sure that as your presenters create those presentations, make sure that they're adding those MRS strategies, because we want to think of our teachers as our students. Think back of as whenever you were in the classroom. If you don't involve your students in strategies, if you don't involve your students in the classrooms, they're just gonna be there, and we don't want that. We want to make sure that as we create those presentations for our teachers, we include those MRS strategies, because again, they are our students, and it's going to drive the POC, to be more engaging. Also, something that we like to do, is follow the I do, we do, you do model. So as I present, let's say something around quizzes, which was one of the presentations that we had, I like to just present information about, hey, this is what quizzes is. Include some of the questions that some questions that teachers can answer, and then I like to do a we do. I like to navigate teachers with the program, show them how the program works, so that we can work together. And then I always like to include the you do model. I always have something for teachers to produce at the end, because you want teachers to leave your POC with something they can take with them, so that they can either practice whenever they go to their classroom, or have something to show their students, depending on the focus. Okay. Another thing that we focus on as we create our protocol are, creating time blocks. You want to make sure that you follow the time that you're gonna have. When I was a high school teacher, we had 55 minutes of just teaching, so I had to make sure that my time was valued through my lesson. So I was giving my students either 5 minutes for the do now and 5 minutes for the exit ticket. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes of I do, we do, you do, just to make sure that I was hitting all the important parts of my lesson. And it's the same thing in a POC. You don't have your teachers your entire day. You have teachers for 55 minutes or less, depending on your time block. So you want to make sure that you value your time. Use timers. As you create your presentation, again, make sure that you label, okay, in this part, this is how long I'm going to take. The next part, this is how long they're going to engage, how I'm going to engage with my teachers. And then another important thing, guys, it's always leave the important questions to the end. And it doesn't mean that you're not answering questions. It just means if it's something that is going to take you 2 or 3 minutes to answer, leave it to the end. Talk to that teacher one-on-one to support that time, that teacher better. And in order to maximize the time in POC, because again, it's precious, you don't get that time back, and you want to make sure that your teachers learn everything they need to know before they leave POC. It's always important to email your teachers. Make sure that that is a good practice. Email your teachers in advance. Make sure that email you include, what they're going to bring, whether that is data, student work, anything they're going to bring. As the presenter, make sure that you have appropriate materials or activities ready for POC. Again, make sure that you're thinking as your teachers, as your students. You're the teacher. You want to make sure that your classroom is set up, because POC, that's your classroom. Okay, so make sure that if you're going to engage them in any activities, if you're going to do, if you're going to do any kind of presentation, there's things that teachers can have so that you don't have to be running around your classroom grabbing those materials. And like I said, involve teachers in MRS strategies. You want your teachers to see that you can also use those MRS strategies. So if you're engaging them in, let's say, map data, make sure that you engage the teachers in a table talk, discussing about what they're seeing in the data. You can also include, a whip around, modified whip around of what they're seeing. Make sure that you're including them in including those MRS strategies, because that's also gonna facilitate your time. If you're just talking and talking and you don't use any strategies, and you don't involve your teachers, you're going to run out of time. So make sure you're using those, strategies. And then, like I said, have something that teachers can produce at the end. Think of it as an exit ticket or DOL. You want to make sure that your teachers master what the POC was all about. So when you're looking at the agenda that you have over here, you're going to see the focus of it. You're going to see the focus in bold letters. You're going to see basically the room number where they're going to be. You're going to see the presenter who's going to present and how long we're going to have for us to present. Okay, you're also going to see bullet points of the main topics you're going to see in that POC. And that's something that we do here on our campus. We do have the agenda for the teachers to see what we're going to have, who's going to present, how long we're going to present, and we do send them the emails before, hand with the materials they're going to have. So here are some of the POC's best practices. Right now, I'm going to explain to you what the QR code that is there, why is there. So again, one of the best practices is always finding out what are the areas of your needs of your campus. There's many things that you can do. There's many data points that we can track. It's not only looking at student data, but that's a good way to start your POC, looking at student data, but also doing your learning walks. It's really important that you take your teachers out to see other teachers, see teachers in action, look at what MRS strategies are doing, the classroom environment, classroom management, social motion, look at all those things. Another thing, that you can grab data from is ghost walks. I like to use ghost walks with new teachers because the new teachers are the ones who really need that support. Okay, so a ghost walk is basically when you take a teacher to an empty classroom with no teacher and students, and they see the classroom as it is, and it helps them. Those little things really help new teachers. And then again, you can also get data from your calibration walks as you walk with the administration team. That's also a really good way to get, those calibration data to create POCs. And then survey, that's a really good one. You want to know what are things that your teachers need and what are things that your student need. Because again, we're also doing it for the students. We want our students to improve and we want them to do better. And then always look at your campus improvement plan. This is really important because you can see your goals. Okay, in our campus improvement plan that we created over the summer, you can see whether you're improving on those action plans that you set as administrators or as teachers. Another practice that I really like, because I'm all about technology, is creating Google Forms. I create Google Forms for every little thing. If it's going to be attendance, I'm going to create a Google Form. If it's going to be something to do a learning walk, I'm going to do a Google Form and I'm going to make it really specific. So that's the reason I have a Google Form over there. I am someone that really likes technology, and for me, it's easier to lose a paper than lose a Google document. Another thing that you can do, another best practice is creating student data trackers. Our teachers here have a data tracker that they use. And the reason that's important is because they can bring it to POC. They don't have to bring all that paperwork. They can bring, the data. They can add the data by TEEX, and they can see it and analyze it. One of the data trackers that I know one of our fifth graders created, it's color coded by approaches, meets, and masters, and you can play with the Excel sheet so that it looks, so that you can track whether you have 30, 60, 90 to meet that goal for STAR. Another thing, another good practice, it's allowed teachers the opportunity to plan with teachers from different grade levels. Um, you want teachers to you want to make sure that your curriculum aligns not only horizontally but also aligns vertically. So you do that by having those same content teachers plan with other teachers from different grade levels. Okay, you want to make sure that what you're teaching aligns with what they're teaching as well. Now, let's say you're a third grade teacher and you have a student that is struggling with reading. He's new to the country, he doesn't know how to read, and maybe you don't have that skill that a kinder teacher has. So it's always important that you allow those teachers to plan. Here at in my campus, we do allow our third and fifth grade teachers to plan, third through fifth to plan together, and they do share ideas. And they either see it by department or by content, and that's a good way for them to share great ideas. Uh, Another, have teachers, like I said, produce something at the end. That for me is the more important thing. We are teachers. Even though we're assistant principals, we are teachers, and we want to make sure that our teachers take something to their classroom. If you're going to focus on data, make sure, again, you follow the I do, we do, you do model, and make sure that your teachers do something in that POC that they can take to their classroom, whether that is to support the students or to support them. Okay, and the last thing, and again, this is what I really like. It's the QR code, but don't think of the QR code as the QR code, because the QR code in essence doesn't mean anything. Anyone can create a QR code, but it's what the QR code contains inside. Okay, so right now there's a QR code here on the screen. If you scan it, it's gonna take you to our counselor's page, because I didn't add the teacher, because then you're gonna see the data. So it's gonna take you to the counselor page. As you can see, it's custom made for our counselor. Our teachers do have their own QR code, and it has our campus logo there. And in that QR code, like I said, they can upload their data, they can upload their lesson internalization, and they can upload their DOL internalization. Now, why is that important for a POC? The reason that's important is because as administrators, we can see their data. We can see their lesson internalization. We can see their DOL internalization. So let's say you're looking at their lesson internalization, and you see that you have some teachers who are really internalizing the lesson. They're writing, hey, at this point in Eureka, I'm going to do an MRS strategy. At this point, this is how I'm going to engage my students. But then you also see some of the teachers, struggling with that. So then you can come up with the idea of creating, for example, a gallery walk, of having, printing those lesson internalization and putting them around the wall for other teachers to see. But make sure that they're not in that same POC. Okay, so make sure that you do that. But then you can create a POC of where teachers walk around, they take note of, okay, the wonderings, what they're noticing. You can engage them in activities of, hey, so what are the things that you're noticing? How does this, internet lesson internalization compares to your lesson internalization? What are things that you can add? What are things that feedback that you would give that teacher? Okay, so the QR code is like I said, it's not that important, but it's what is inside of that QR code. Okay, so if you want to create a QR code and add data lesson internalization, DOL internalization, you can do it, but make sure that you teachers have access to that. So one thing that I do recommend, if you're doing this, make sure that only the teacher has access to that and only the admin team. Okay, you don't want teachers scanning QR codes from different teachers. Okay. So here is a video of a POC in action. The focus of this POC is around using the QR codes, but more than anything, the Google Forms. Okay, how we use Google Forms in our campus to track data. Here we had the pre-kinder team going to the classroom to look at different MRS strategies in the classroom environment. I have one. Okay, so as you see the video, you're going to see me introduce give a quick overview of what the Google form is, some of the questions. Then we're going to transition to the classroom.
Okay, so we're just looking from afar, okay? And then if you do have a question to the teacher, we're gonna share that information after we send it to the teacher, okay? We're gonna go.
Letter A, raise your hand. Letter A, raise your hand. You're going to start, tú le vas a decir a la letra B, el área es, uy, ahora sí. We're going to do an oral response. Me vas a enseñar tu tablero y me vas a decir.
Okay, guys. So I'm gonna give you a minute to finish up writing your praise and your pondering. Really quick, what was some of the MR strategies that we observed in the lesson?
Whiteboards.
Okay, we saw whiteboards. What's another one?
She assigned letter A to start, to begin first.
Yes, and then something that she does that I really like is she tells the students that they need to be looking at each other before sharing. So that's the reason they were turning to each other.
Okay. So again, that was the quick, POC, the QR codes and the Google Form in action. Now at the end, we can see the data. So one of the question was, some of the questions that you saw is what MRS strategies you saw in the classroom, and I wrote the 7 MRS strategies from the district. And at the end, we can see what is the percentage of MRS strategies that we're using. So, for example, we can see the number of, how many teachers use the think per share, how many teachers use the whiteboards and the response cards. And then we can use that to create a POC or, to increase that MRS strategy that we really need the teachers to use.
Hi, Mr. Rodriguez, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, yes.
You mentioned ghost walk in empty classrooms with new teachers. Can you describe a little bit about what you do in your ghost walks?
So for a ghost walk, it's basically you go into an empty classroom. You don't have a teacher. You don't have students. You tell the teacher, "Hey, I'm going to your classroom because I want this teacher to I want the new teacher to observe the classroom setting." Because new teachers don't have the creativity as the experienced teachers. So what I did with one of my teachers is I took her to this, experienced teacher. I show her around the classroom, her data walk, her student work, her champs procedures, all that information that is around the classroom so that she can have an idea of what she's doing, things that she can put around the classroom that can better support her. So that's what a ghost walk is basically. You're just looking at the classroom setting.
Thank you, Caesar, so much for sharing your practices at Benbrook, and thank you for that great question. We're going to move on to our second presenter, and I'm going to ask you guys to hold your questions to the end. I know that you're burning with questions for Caesar, but we're going to get into our second presentation, and then we'll have questions for both of our presenters. So again, thank you so much for sharing how you run your PLCs at Benbrook, and I'm going to turn it over to Monique Green.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So I'm going to jump right in. I'm here at Thurgood Marshall Elementary, and I wanted to jump into talking about how I construct and run my PLC planning. And if you take a look on the screen, I do have an example of the block on planning, basically planned out on what we do for each day. And I like to think of putting together an effective PLC. What better way to use than the domains? So I'm just going to kind of talk through how I use the 4 domains to plan for my PLCs to make sure that the PLCs are structured and we are using that time effectively so that teachers are walking out with material ready for going in front of the students live. So first with planning, on my end with planning, I like to make sure that I'm looking at the data, and what data I'm looking at. I'm looking at my previous week's spot data, and I'm also looking at student DOL data. So using that data to kind of adjust with what that week's PLC's focus will be, so that I want to keep it all related to what's happening in the classroom and keep whatever is going on, keep it current, and looking at those trends to make sure that each week we are addressing those deficits, and then we're also addressing whatever trends we may be seeing with the teacher's instruction and also with the student instruction as well. So, like I said, on my end, I look at the planning piece and I'm looking at data, I'm looking at the assessments, the students, and looking at teacher assessment data as well. Activities. So on my end with planning for these activities, you will see in the next slide, you'll see a picture of my layout of how I lay out I will call them activities, but from day to day on how I set it up for teachers to walk around my classroom and making sure that they are getting to planning for each day. So I kind of make it like a station walk, and you'll see one of the teachers talk about that. And in the next slide, you'll see some pictures of examples of those activities as well. But it's also important for my planning of those activities. And I use my time on Fridays, evenings, and afternoons. And you'll see on my calendar on the next slide how I put that time in to make sure that I am giving myself the time to plan for the planning. And I feel like that's important. Just as a teacher, we want to make sure that when the students are coming in, that everything is laid out, all the activities are there, and we're ready to jump into instruction. So like my co-presenter was saying, we're the teachers in this, predicament with the PLCs, and our teachers are our students. So we expect for them to come in and already, get in, we get right to work and not wasting any of our instructional time. So for instruction, achieving expectations. So on my end, I make sure that I am setting the expectations. And how am I setting those expectations? I am, of course, providing exemplars. So every day that the teachers are coming in, I at least have one exemplar of what I will want the end product for those teachers to come with. So for example, on Mondays, if we're working on the no-show chart, I will make sure that I have completed a complete no-show chart of an exemplar. So I know that the teachers will know what I expect for their no-show charts to look like by the end of that planning session. So just making sure that I give them exemplar. I do all of the DOLs ahead of time. So when the teachers are coming in, they're able to see those exemplar DOLs, just as if we would want our teachers to have the exemplar DOLs when they're in class with the students. Content knowledge is also important for me to have internalized before the teachers. I'm not internalizing with them. I've already internalized, which means I've already caught some misconceptions that I think that my teachers may have, just like we want our teachers to know misconceptions of their students. So just going in with that content knowledge of already internalizing the whole week's lesson, it makes the planning so much better because I'm able to provide those extended questions to those teachers, and I'm not exploring with them. I've already went through it, and I'm able to provide that support that they need when they're asking the question. And I'm also able to ask those guiding questions to the teachers to make sure that they are maximizing their time with me and that they're going live in front of the students with their best work. Communication and monitoring and adjusting. So I want to make sure that I'm communicating and setting clear expectations to my teachers. The teachers know that I'm giving them their work, their DOLs ahead of time. I will talk about that a little later when I go into the learning environment, also in the professional practice, but giving them the work and that I'm communicating to them that when they come in, I'm expecting us to work. We're getting right to work as soon as you step in. There's a 5-minute grace period, so I'm expecting for you to come in and we get straight to work. Monitoring and adjusting. From week to week, I may find a different trend. Like I say, I use my data to make sure that I am keeping it relevant. If I see one grade level that is struggling with MRS, that means that I may utilize Tuesday and Wednesday for that MRS time for us to plan to make sure that it is being effective and that they are taking it back to their classrooms in front of their students. Learning environment. I like to set them, like I said, in the next slide, you'll see a picture of the learning environment, my PLC room, which I call my classroom as well. The PLC environment is set up. It has all the material for the teachers ready. We have whiteboards, dry erase markers, Post-its, everything that the teachers need as if we expect for the students' classroom to be ready as well. Routines and procedures. Teachers know that when they come in, they know the routines and procedures, have their material ready. They know to come up and show up on time. And I've set that culture with them as a collaborative culture as well, to making sure that we are in there together and we're working together as a team. Professional practice and responsibilities, goal setting. I would like to make sure that the teachers understand that we are here goal setting, and we're setting goals up for that. We want to meet those goals as we are teachers, and make sure to go in front of the students. Professional demeanor and ethics, that's the, coming in on time, staying on topic. I do like to give roles in the my PLC. So we do have someone that's the timekeeper, someone that's making sure that everyone is staying on track, so whether we can make sure that we're maximizing that time in the PLC classroom. Let me go to the next slide. All right, so here at the top, and I do support second grade as well, and but I want to highlight some of my fifth and fourth grade data and successes, and how I feel like I've gotten to that point with our growth percentile. So fifth grade was in the 64th percentile growth, and fourth grade was in the 59th percentile growth. And some of the things that contribute to that was the lesson internalization process that I have with my teachers, and me setting up that task management and planning for the planning and providing those exemplars to the teachers. I really do think that them seeing the expected outcome and setting those expectations for my teachers really led to some of the growth that we saw with my fifth and fourth grade classrooms. Gradual release of the lesson internalization of teachers, just as we ask our teachers to do the gradual release, I do the same thing with my teachers as well. We want to make sure that they are working together. So I do, like I said, I do the I give them my think alouds. They see my thought process behind why I put this on the no-show chart, or why I put this icon for this MRS for this slide. And they understand and they see that. Then I give them opportunity to collaborate and to talk amongst each other. And then, of course, they do some on their own, but we're still collaborating to make sure that we're still all on the same page. Spot observation, data, and feedback. I use my data very seriously, because I feel like that makes it a part. Like, we're going in, we're seeing this, is letting me know the trends that are happening and what direction I need to move with my teachers. Teacher actions, they provide multiple opportunity support. They have student goal setting. So some of the things that we're doing in the PLC is reflecting what the teachers are doing with their students as well. You also will see on the screen a copy of my schedule on how I align and make sure that I have sent calendar invites to the teachers, and they know their expectations of coming in at that time, and what time we're starting and what time we're ending, and how we're coming in to get right to work. And then you also see a picture of the actual one of the tables in the planning sessions. So I do have those colorful sticky notes along the side, and it's basically labeled do now, I do, we do, you do, and then DOL at the bottom. And then also there's anchor chart paper there as well. During that time, we're all gathered around, and that looked like it may have been a Tuesday lesson. The teachers are up on their feet. We're gathered around. We're huddled around Tuesday's lessons. We're breaking it down. We're having discussion. We're moving slides around. And we have one person who is on the tech that is actually inputting the information onto the slides as we are having discussion around what portion of the lesson those slides should go to. All right, so you're getting ready to see a video. This is one of my fourth grade teachers, and she's gonna just kind of tell about how working with me on this planning session, how she feels like it's been effective with the growth that she saw with her students. I can't hear anything.
What is called backwards. Hi, I'm Ms. Horsfall at Marshall Elementary. I teach fourth grade, and I love our planning sessions here with Ms. Green They have really helped me. I have the most growth in fourth grade. Our planning sessions consist of breaking up the T for each week and also the slide deck with the I do, we do, you do. We do what is called backwards planning. We look at our DOLs. We work together as a fourth grade team and we work out those DOLs collectively. And then we look at the star frequency distribution chart and also our lead forward. And we look at any common mistakes or misconceptions that the kids may have. And we plan with actually placing in those questions for the misconceptions to make sure that we are making it more productive for our kids and higher order thinking under the Bloom's taxonomy. So this sessions really help us with Miss Green. She has led us to perfection almost, and we're great, and we're going to get there by the end of the school year.
Thank you, Ms. Green, so much. I thought you were going to say something else. I think I got caught up in the fact that you're preparing them for perfection. I love that. That kind of captivated me. But I want to thank both of you guys, and I want to open up the floor for questions now. I know that our attendees are excited to ask you guys specific questions about your processes. So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see. And you guys can raise your hand and we'll acknowledge you and let us know, who you're asking a question to, Caesar and or Monique. I know you guys have questions. I will say one of the things that I really appreciate is hearing both presenters talk about treating teachers as learners. Whatever it is we're expecting our teachers to do with our students, we have to prepare as leaders to engage them in the learning at that level. So that was one of the things that resonated with me because I look at that as immersing our teachers in the learning process. And then they can pass that on to our students. Oftentimes we tell our teachers don't tell, show. So as leaders, we have to lead that way. We can't just tell teachers what to do. We have to show them what to do by actually immersing them in the learning experience. But like I said, I know you guys have questions, so feel free to ask. And I want to ask Caesar and Monique if you don't mind sharing your email addresses in the chat, because even if people don't have questions today, I know they may have questions later. One participant asked, will you guys have access to the slide deck? And you do, and there's lots of live links there for you to use. As Caesar was presenting, I use my phone to click on to see, and it goes straight to the counselor's page. So thank you so much for showing us that. And I'm sure that Caesar will be open to sharing with you how he creates all of his magical QR codes and how he links it to all of the things at Benbrook. And I bet Monique will probably invite you guys to come and see one of her PLCs in action, because that's the best way to learn, to actually see it. All right, let's see. I see a hand. I can't see the name though. There we go. Christina, can you share your question?
Hello, all, and thank you so much, Monique and Caesar. That was a wonderful presentation. So I did receive some learning that I can also implement in my PLCs. My question is, I just switched from 3rd through 5th grade, where we had 2 planning periods, 2 planning blocks to pre-KK and 1st grade, a little bit of 2nd. And one of my challenges has been, since I am so used to those double blocks, and the focus was ELA, SOR, and now it is math, it is reading, it is science, it is SOR. So trying to fit that time into a 50-minute block, trying to just get everything done without leaving anything left out. It ends up being a lot of the teachers doing the homework at home. So like if I would model, a gradual release model of the lesson,
then we'll have time to do a little bit of it, but then we'll miss out on math or we'll miss out. So we'll just end up doing a little bit of a little bit. Then we do data, just a little bit of everything, but never fully. I don't think they ever get a chance to completely internalize the way that 3rd through 5th grade or upper grade is used to. For me, is what I've seen. So I am begging for someone to kind of share if there is a process already created for the lower grades to actually teach about 4 subjects, in a day.
Well, I
Hi.
can kind of, oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Miss Green.
Oh, no, you can go ahead.
Okay, okay.
I'll back after you.
Okay. So I usually lead the first and second POC and then kinder and pre-kinder. So what we do here is we look at the data for those teachers to see what is the subject that they need more support. Like for example, we were looking at the map data. Based on the map data, if we saw that they did better on math than the reading, then the focus will be on the reading part. So we would just focus on a POC on how to support our teachers for our students for the reading part by looking at the data and having teachers create, some sort of action plan that they can take to the classroom, and then, continue working on those POCs for reading, and then, add the math and then the science, but always go with the one that needs the most support. Okay, because like you said, it's really hard to focus on all 3 subjects, but choose the one that the students need the most at that moment, and then track your DOL data, and then switch to the next one.
Thank you. I do like that suggestion.
And I'll just backdoor with that. That was wonderful suggestion. I also should suggest that maybe looking at what can be eliminated, what pre-work, you can do on your end that will take some of that's probably filling up some of that time to where they can come in and get straight to work. It kind of, and I just put, like I said, I put it on my calendar on do a lot of prep work for the teachers. That's just because I need, when they come in, it doesn't need to be, oh, I need to find this or I need to get this. So just thinking about what is eating up some of the time to where you can already have that together and, for them, so that you can get straight to whatever it is that you need to get to. So just, I just kind of evaluate what is it that can be put on you to have prepared for them. So when they come in, that time isn't eaten up. You're able to jump right into the lesson of planning.
Thank you.
Thank you for that great question and both great answers. Thank you guys for that. And I see that Marissa has put maybe another answer in the chat as well. So definitely take a look at that. Yeah, time is essential as campus leaders. I can definitely attest to that. So it is 5:23, and as I said to you, it's our intention that our sessions are about 45 minutes long, and we create a 15-minute period for lab time. And I asked Caesar to come up with the assignment for you all today. We talked about it, and we said a Google form, correct, Caesar? Is that what we came up with?
Yes, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so create a Google form. It can be something that you want to use for POC. So like for example, I was tracking MRS strategies, so you can focus on a Google form where you're tracking the MRS strategies, and also maybe tracking those best practices that you want to see in the classroom, whether they're using those sentence stems are embedded into the slides or written in the whiteboards. Think of what you want to include on that Google form, but make sure that you include those 7 MR strategies as the look fors.
So that's the assignment we want to give you guys today as a result of the learning that you had. And before we let you go, our optimistic closure question to reflect over is, and you can add your answers to the chat. When I compare my PLC protocol to the ones presented today, I plan to. So think about what you learned and what is maybe one high leverage thing that you want to add to your PLC protocol to improve the work that you do with your teachers there. So take some time to reflect and answer and share out. And if I could get one of my co-presenters to come off mute and maybe share some of the things that you see there in the chat, that would be great.
So when I compare my PLC protocol to the ones presented today, I plan to follow the T-test rubric like Ms. Green is doing. I feel that it's really structured. It tackles all the points that our teachers need to actually support our students.
I love that. And I would also invite anyone else who wants to come off mute and share, or definitely add to the chat. And while you guys are doing that, there you go, our assignment, creating a Google form. I want to let you know that we have an AP office hours channel, and I added all of the North APs to it, so you should have access to it. But just in case you don't, I did drop a link to the PowerPoint in the chat, and so you'll have access to these slides with the live links, and you can go there. You'll find access to the recording from today. You'll find the presentation from today, as well as the presentation that we made 2 weeks ago, and you'll find folders for you to upload examples of your PLC protocol for others to see different ways they might structure their PLC time. And then, of course, you guys got to see 2 wonderful videos that our presenters put together for you. We want to invite you guys to create your own short videos about what changes you might have made to your PLC protocol. Hold your phone in front of your face and just make a, 1-minute video just expressing what you learned today, some changes that you put in place, particularly after you've done it and you can see the improvement. And then, of course, we've given you some guidelines for how to make your videos. But I know everybody knows how to make their videos in this day and age of video making. But there are some tips. And we have a feedback survey, and I just want to reiterate again how excited I am for this opportunity to be a part of AP Office Hours, and how excited I am that you guys spent this hour with us. I want to thank Caesar and Monique again, our 2 exemplar APs who were courageous and bold enough to say, I want to share my PLC protocol with all of the rest of the APs in the North Division. We appreciate you. We applaud you. We thank you. We salute you. And if there aren't any further questions or comments, then I want to release you to enjoy the rest of your Mardi Gras day. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank y'all. Have a great one.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.